so yet again. Mandelson's top of the agenda. The Conservatives have forced this Commons debate a bit later today. They've expected to last for about 3 hours on what Keir Starmer knew and when. Do you think they'll be able to lay a glove on him?
Often these debates, there's more heat than light. Starmer won't be there. It may not even be the Foreign Secretary there. It may be a junior minister replying at it. There's very few MPs in Westminster. I was there yesterday. So there are questions to be asked, and I think we'll hear those questions, but we may be little wiser at the end of the day as regards answers.
It's a very senior Tory MP, David Davis, who's leading the charge, and he knows Commons procedure inside out. And I've spoken to him about this, and he thinks this is a case of morality.
Yes.
And because, he said, because how on earth could somebody be put in that job who was consorting with an infamous, notorious convicted paedophile?
David Davis is forensic.
He is.
So he will put the prosecution case expertly and very detailed. It'll be very, very factual. But you don't have to get answers. Is the way the system works. Maybe you think you should, and each question should be answered as it comes along, but it isn't. He'll make a speech and he'll
make his points.
Yeah, make his points, and then there'll be lots of noise and shouting.
So the Prime Minister...
That's how it goes.
...sat down yesterday with Channel 4's Gary Gibbons and did answer questions about what he knew when. And he'd talked about being sort of angry about what had happened, but he explained how the process led to Lord Mandelson being appointed. The thing that is specific to what he should have known then, which would have stopped him appointing him, that's not the association with Epstein, because he says he knew about it. That's not the fact that Lord Mandelson stayed at Epstein's apartment while Epstein was serving his sentence. And Epstein was on a work release scheme, which meant he only spent the night in prison and was allowed out to be at his office during the day. So that wasn't enough to stop him appointing Lord Mandelson. The one thing it appears that the Prime Minister said he didn't know was this email about Lord Mandelson sort of sympathising with Epstein over the conviction.
And challenging whether the conviction was even was fair.
To be honest, I think much of what you said before should have ruled him out.
Right.
If you're staying as a guest of a convicted paedophile...
While that convicted paedophile is serving his sentence?
Convicted, then I think, no, your judgment is all wrong and you're not fit for high office. And so if they knew that, they shouldn't have appointed him on that reason at all.
And they did know that. And now he's expecting us to believe that this dossier that came in with 2,000... was it words or pages, a huge dossier about Manson and Epstein, which came in on the Tuesday. He would have us believe in that Channel 4 interview, his officials were going through the dossier, which was about Manson's relationship with Epstein. He didn't think to ask anything in that dossier that could seriously... because he then went into Prime Minister's questions next day and expressed full confidence.
No, he didn't express full... He expressed confidence, which was the most lukewarm system. He should have said there's an investigation... underway, and we're trying to get to the truth. But I understand that a news organisation sends in a big dossier, why you don't believe it immediately, because, believe it or not, everything produced in the news by news organisations isn't always accurate.
Would say, why didn't this all come out in the vetting process?
Well, that's the bit. That's where the failure was, Susanna.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been...
There were serial failures, weren't there? I mean, right the way through to this week. I mean, I personally found it extraordinary that they were saying, even as late as yesterday, that they had to wait for Mandelson to get back to Number 10 to answer questions about the emails that had been sent. You don't wait, surely, for answers to questions as important as
get him out of bed.
When your Prime Minister's about to go into the House of Commons and make a statement. You phone him up, you get him out of bed, never mind the time difference, and you put the question...
Well, you can ring somebody up, you don't always get them on the end of the phone. Believe me, as a journalist who's trying to speak to
the Prime Minister look so weak.
The Prime Minister
doesn't have the power. Surely, Ambassador, the Prime Minister's on the phone. He wants to know the answer to this question.
You get the answer.
He doesn't
immediately.
No, you know, in life, if you've got an ambassador who's very powerful, been a powerful politician in the past, and they know they're on skid row, they're not going to cooperate. They're not going to jump in the tumbril to go along to the guillotine.
OK, so
they're going to resist.
A Prime Minister's on the phone. Don't worry. His holding pattern is he's got confidence in you. You just get back to him whenever you've got up. That's fine. No. He's only going into Prime Minister's questions to bat for you.
And the Prime Minister even cited a time difference between us and Washington as a reason for the delay. Pathetic.
Yes, I find that extraordinary.
Actually, I find this less extraordinary, to be honest.
Really? Yeah.
I think the issue is the appointment in the first place.
Well, everybody's saying that.
I think that is the key. Not that you discover on late on Tuesday that there are big new questions, and then you're firing them, or you decide to fire them late on the Wednesday, 24 hours later.
This time yesterday morning, we were wondering if there would be another scandal coming down the road for the Prime Minister. Will blow me down. By about 11:30 yesterday morning, it had arrived. Prime Minister's Director of Strategy has had to quit over really ghastly messages that he sent some years ago, sexual messages about Diane Abbott, who was a guest on the programme yesterday, as it happened. Extremely sexually explicit. We obviously can't repeat them here at this time of day, but as I say, they're sexual in tone. There are references to a sex toy and Diane Abbott. It's vile. And that one must have been floating around for a while as well.
This shows a number 10 machine that is totally dysfunctional and out of control. It really is unbelievable. The messages are just foul, actually. And Diane
Sent
Abbott,
in 2017.
Diane Abbott has been subjected, whether you agree with her politics or not, she's been subjected to the most appalling, racist, sexist, misogynist abuse of any other member of Parliament.
And this guy was a press officer for the Labour Party at the time.
It was the height of Labour factionalism in 2017. Jeremy Corbyn was leader. He was fighting the Conservatives and the Liberal Democrats and other political parties, but he was also fighting a large part of his own party. And Paul Ovenden, who's gone now and quite rightly, relayed this terrible game they'd been playing. Now, Diane Abbott herself has been subject to terrible racism and misogyny from the right and the Tory media, but it's also been within the Labour Party as well, which I think is worse and is utterly unforgiving. Now, Starmer won't have known about this, but it's almost as if he's cursed now. That everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
When these messages were sent, this guy was a press officer for Labour.
Yeah, but
I mean, you'd think he'd just pause before pressing the send button on stuff like that.
Yeah, but at the time, that faction of the Labour Party, the opposition of the Labour Party, was being lionised in much of the media, and it was using its attacks on Corbyn and his allies, including Diane Abbott. I recall it well because I was a lot more sympathetic to Corbyn without being a supporter, because I like the policies,
Kevin,
actually.
This feels and smells like a government in terminal decay.
Well, what it sounds like, Andrew,
the end days of a Parliament, of a government.
It sounds like a Prime Minister who's kind of wandering around going, oh, I didn't know about that. Oh, no one told me about that. No. If I'd known about that, I wouldn't have appointed. I mean, get a grip.
What's happened is, I thought two things about him. One, he would be competent, and one, he would be very calm and he would cool everything down. That neither has happened.
No.
Neither has happened. But it seems like the chaos that came through the Tory period, including the Rishi Sunak reign, is carried on. And how he breaks that and has a reset and a fresh start, a relaunch,
Kevin,
is getting more and more difficult.
It needs leadership, and there isn't any.
Well, he can control, and the government can control, and the security services at their beck and call can control to some extent the state visit, which is due to start this evening when Air Force One lands. But they can't control the media, and there are going to be questions thrown live to Donald Trump and to Keir Starmer, and Mandelson is going to come up. Might that be the arena, if it's not going to be the House of Commons in the debate later today, might that be the arena that the wheels come off even further?
Yeah, well, that's why they're trying to lock Donald Trump away in Windsor Castle.
So just explain how this is going to happen, Kevin, because it's a controversial state visit. Yeah. There's likely to be many protests.
You're quite right.
We understand from The Telegraph that President Trump is expected to go easy on Sir Keir because he understands the Prime Minister is on the road. So I'm not sure that helps the Prime Minister, that message.
I think that's a load of rubbish. He likes Starmer. They have a good relationship. There's a bit of a bromance, which I find, looking from my perspective, rather sickening. Actually, other people will say it pays off, and Starmer has had to make this calculated decision in Britain's national interest.
Is he going to hold his hand like Theresa May?
Hopefully not. To keep just avoid steps.
Put a gentle arm round him, pat him on the head, say, are you all right?
But he will point to a slightly better or a slightly less worse trade deal with the US than some other countries.
But when we say it's sort of all going to happen, you know, out of sight of the protesters, I mean, how does that work?
They lock him in Windsor Castle in the fortress.
They lock him in.
They start in Regent's Park tonight, don't they? By locking him in at the embassy.
That's right, which is very secure.
Extremely.
You might be able to hear people in the distance, although you might not hear them over helicopter gunships or whatever hovering overhead. Then you take them to Windsor Castle.
In a huge entourage.
Yeah,
and they go in the cars in it.
They go in the private quarters, and then they'll roll out the royals and some collection you'll see.
There'll be a carriage ride tomorrow,
and there's a big dinner.
I think there's a carriage ride up
Windsor Park.
the long walk in Windsor Park, but no public will get near it because of security.
OK.
But he'll get that carriage ride with the King and Queen Camilla, maybe William.
The reason they don't do if you had the full works, you get the Mall.
And that's
in the middle of London.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can't keep people away in the same way.
And the official line is you can't have Buckingham Palace because it's a building site. Let me tell you, there are still events go on at Buckingham Palace.
So it's down to the media
then
to throw the awkward questions. I'll repeat the scenario. How might that play out as and when we get a press conference and questions about...
Somebody might ask Donald Trump, did you have full confidence in the British ambassador?
Absolutely.
Peter Mandelson.
That's
because
exactly
he likes when they work well together.
And what if he says yes?
Well, wouldn't that be extraordinary?
Well, he's going to have a decision.
I regret he was dismissed.
Mandelson accepted...
And he's a maverick, Trump. You never know what he's going to say.
Mandelson accepted his birthday book messages, and his emails were sent. They were real. They were truthful.
Yeah.
Or in the sense that they exist. Of course, what Trump does, he just denies it. That's not me in the birthday book. Nothing me at all. Because he works on a completely different level. Whatever Sneaky Pete, as Trump would... No.
That's what Epstein called him. What was
Epstein
that about?
But Trump privately called him Sneaky Pete.
Yeah.
Whatever he is... He didn't deny the legitimacy of those messages.
Trump didn't want him fired.
Trump just lies.
And wasn't kept in the loop either. So it could be difficult.
Another unfortunate headline for the Prime Minister this morning, the one-in, one-out migration deal. Apparently the flight took off yesterday without anyone...
I said this would happen.
...due to be deported on it.
Human rights lawyers.
You did predict that.
Lawyers.
Today,
Human rights lawyers.
Yeah, but they...
With their money, legal aid, no doubt paid for by us, the taxpayer, stopped the migrant. There was only one going on, by the way, just one. No wonder they had the minister doing the rounds, just they wouldn't... running commentary on how many... There was one, wasn't allowed to go because of their human rights.
So 31,000 in... None out.
Well, the government will point to 38,000 people deported since they came to power. I think it's 38,000 as a figure. But when the Immigration Service books seats on flights used by everybody else, by the public, they're often not used because you're kind of thinking, right, this person might claim to be sick, this person might have an appeal, there might be a reason. But they need just PR-wise to get people on those flights under that deal very
Well, the government were letting the world know yesterday that it was imminent.
Yeah.
But, if it wasn't yesterday, it would be today.
Well,
it wasn't.
Yeah, but if it wasn't yesterday, it's going to be today, and they now say it's going to be today. Then it looks a lot worse on Wednesday. But I think you can sometimes just get a bit too carried away, and everything is wrong and bad, and it's not.
7,000 have flooded in since that deal was signed. Flooded in.
How many did you get to Rwanda? 0.
Because human rights lawyers...
Zero.
Yeah.
Of human rights lawyers.
The UK Supreme Court,
Human rights lawyers.
ruled the Rwanda.
So currently, this
They're a
particular
menace.
scheme looks just about as successful.
Yeah.
No, because it's only been proposed a matter of months and it hasn't cost us 700
far.
700 million
These human rights lawyers are a
pounds,
menace.
and created the huge backlog because every time they shouted Rwanda, they weren't processing.
Well, that is the case. That is the
How
case.
quickly did he mention Rwanda today?
That's funny. You don't want to hear any. I'll mention Brexit in a minute if you want your
No,
greatest.
let's not go there. I do want to talk about this Hillsborough law. Now, this is landmark legislation. Just point out the Hillsborough tragedy, where 97 Liverpool fans killed in absolutely chaotic scenes, tragic. No one has been held accountable.
Shocking.
It happened back in 1989.
No one's been successfully prosecuted, despite 97 people dying.
Exactly right. So this law will not retrospectively hold anyone accountable for what happened at Hillsborough, but it will enforce a duty of candour on public officials for future events, so there won't be cover-ups. Watching, I think people will think, hang on a moment, there is now going to be a law which forces people to tell the truth.
Didn't we think it was there already?
Absolutely.
It's a staggering admission.
It's a real indictment, isn't it?
And it's taken almost 4 decades to have a law that forces people to tell the truth.
It is jaw-dropping and appalling, because you just assume public officials, whether it's in the police or the local council, tell the truth. That's their job.
You now need a law to force them to tell the truth.
And it's taken nearly 40 years to draft the law.
Yeah.
Shame on them.
Yeah.
But it is, it's a tribute to the families and the supporters of Liverpool, the city of Liverpool.
They'll never get justice.
Because there's nothing in it for them.
No, but that they have got the law changed here. Because remember the smears and the lies told back in 1989. I remember the day of the tragedy. I'd gone to see Leyton Orient play, and you come back and then you just discover something has been this terrible disaster, and then it comes out with that infamous The Truth front page from the Sun, which was all lies and smears.
For which the Sun has never been forgiven.
But it is.
In that part of the world.
It's a grave miscarriage of justice.
Well, we'll be talking live to 2 of the campaigners, literally minutes after they've left Number 10 this morning, and that's going to be in about an hour and a half's time. Listen, I have to be honest, I'd never heard the name Danny Kruger until yesterday, but I do now. He's the first sitting Conservative MP to defect to Reform.
That's not quite right, actually, because...
that's been reported.
Lee Anderson was a Tory MP in the last Parliament and defected.
30p Lee did.
So he's the first one in this Parliament.
In this Parliament. Okay.
So I've known Kruger a long time. He's one of the Tory party's cleverest, most cerebral thinkers.
His mum is Prue Leith.
She is.
Yeah.
So that's why people know...
I think they have quite
high-profile family.
I think they have quite different views.
They do.
Actually,
they do.
It's got to be said.
So how big a blow is it to the Conservatives?
I think it's a very significant blow for the Tories, because he is such a clever
strategist.
That's not all they do this. He backed austerity, he backed Brexit, both of which would be disasters.
I could even answer the question if I could.
Yes.
And Boris Johnson and Liz Truss.
So politically, you're not aligned with him, Kevin. So let's hear from Andrew.
Who is politically aligned.
And he was going to be heavily involved in the Tories trying to come up with policy ideas to fight back. So now Farage has got a big thinker, a big brain on his side.
Is he big enough to attract others behind him in his wake?
Yes, he is.
Really?
Yeah. It's a terrible blow for the
You mean
Tories.
there'll be Conservative MPs this morning saying, well, if Dan is gone, maybe I should too?
Yeah, and unlike some who might be considering defecting because they think Reform's going to win their seat, Reform are 4th place in his seat. If he was to lose his seat, it would be to the Lib Dems.
OK, so if you're a voter in his seat, Kevin, and you didn't vote for Reform, you voted for the Conservatives, how annoyed would you be that your Conservative MP has gone to the party you didn't vote for?
Oh, pretty annoyed. And I've long thought, 40+ years, that if you're elected for a party, then you defect to another party, you should have to fight a by-election.
Yeah.
Nigel Farage used to believe that, because in the early days of UKIP, they had 2 defectors from the Tories. There was Douglas Carswell
and Mark Reckless.
And they both fought by-elections.
And they won.
But in the name of democracy, but of course, they don't do that now because they're worried he would lose, and he would probably lose his seat. People have gone to Labour and not fought by-elections. I've always thought that is as wrong too. But he's a big Robert Jenrick supporter. He was.
Yes, he ran his campaign. He ran his campaign.
Will he lure Robert Jenrick over to reform?
No. But I still think having people like Kruger on the reform team ticket when it comes to the election, if Farage is the largest party, easier to do a deal with the Tories
that's
to
the
make
question,
a coalition.
Though, isn't it? Will it? I mean, can reform keep this momentum going for the next 3 years?
Well, all five...
Well, they're being helped quite a lot by the incompetence of the government, aren't they?
No, reform at the election had 5 MPs, and it went down to 4 when Rupert Lowe went off, then it came back to 5, then it went down to 4 when another one went off. Now it's back to 5. All 5 are former Tories. 2 of them are former Tory MPs. The other 3, including Farage himself, were Tories in a previous part of their lives. For Labour and the opposition, that is quite handy because as Reform tries to present itself as the party of the working class, going to represent your interests, they can say, look, it's just the Tory party in new clothes. So Kruger comes and he might challenge Farage as well because he's not going to, when he's told to jump, say exactly how high, he will ask questions. But there are downsides for Farage. So this bandwagon doesn't always pick up as much speed as it might first appear.
Okay.
Sometimes the wheels can get a bit wobbly and it might slow.
Should we be boycotting the Eurovision Song Contest? Lots of countries say that they're not going to go if Israel goes.
Might be our best chance of winning.
Ireland, the Netherlands, Slovenia, Iceland and now Spain are the countries who say they won't take part if Israel is allowed to be part of it because of what's happening in Gaza. But BBC Director General says the corporation is aware of the concerns but said the song contest has never been about politics.
Oh, come on.
Have you ever watched the voting?
No, I was going to say, it's all
UK.
Exactly.
Yeah, particularly after Brexit, blimey, we were always like...
Groups of countries, they're culturally...
They vote as blocks. Yeah.
It is interesting because you can't take politics out completely.
No.
Any international event.
Yeah, and I get with what's now happening in Gaza and clearly war crimes committed. I think the case for ethnic cleansing is coming ever stronger, as is genocide. So why would Russia be pushed out of a lot of international competitions, but Israel isn't?
Well, you could argue, I suppose, that Israel isn't actually part of Europe.
Yeah, but nor is Australia and Erin.
Yeah, I think
that's not the argument. I mean, I just want Israel to stop creating a famine in Gaza.
But this isn't going to do it, is it?
No, but
a boycott of the Eurovision is not going to make Netanyahu think, oh, right, I'll stop. It's ridiculous.
But if the Israeli government is going to use participation and, oh, isn't this a nice, joyous occasion, as cover for what it is doing in Gaza, that's where the question raises.
It'd be interesting if the audience jeer the Israeli song, won't it?